Give it a minute to load here fully. And 1 second here. Oh, this is going on here. Right, and pause. Oh, hold on a second here. Let's see if this bad boy is working here the way it should be. Now, we are doing last minute checks live on the air, folks, because this is what we do here. This is totally what we do. So there's a network error. It might be my end. Hold on a second here.
Okay.
Give me a second here. There we go. There we go. No. No. Okay, there it goes. Hold on a second here. There it goes. And there we are. Kind of just doing that little bad boy trick there so I can kind of watch back and forth what's going on. Like Zoom and Twitch do not play well. You gotta clap. Clap. Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 999. My guest, I mentioned this to him about 6 months ago. I contacted him and say, hey, buddy, would you like to be guest 999? Because if I have to go through every era, I have to go to the man that did this first. Hey, buddy, Scott Burtness.
It was thank you, Josh, for having me back. It has definitely been a minute.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot of catching up to do. Fortunately, we got a cold one to catch up with.
Nice.
So how you been, buddy? What you been up to?
Wow. So one, good. Two, I don't even know where to start. So, thinking about the interview and getting a chance to chat again, and again, trying to just think back to that first meeting at When Words Collide. And I think you're right. It was 2016.
Yes.
And everything that's happened between now and then, and just, where to begin? I guess I should probably go in the way back machine. When we met, I had book 2 of a trilogy done. I did finish that trilogy, and then took the better part of 4 years off, and then wrote another one. So I guess on the author front, I've knocked out 6 books in way too many years.
I don't.
It's.
Sorry, I'll let you go here.
No, I was just gonna say I get that the race is long and it's only with myself, but there's a certain measure of pride, and there's a certain amount of looking at that 4-year gap in the middle and being like, really, nothing, really. Although it wasn't nothing. I did actually rewrite The Breakfast Club, scene for scene, line for line, but with monsters. But it was blatant plagiarism. Couldn't do anything with it.
No, it's fair. It's totally fair. Okay, well, I've done 998 of these since you were last on the show. So I guess
I know, that's insane.
That is insane. I've done a feat. I've legitimately done a feat. Can't deny it.
Nope.
Not many people do it this long. Like, not many. I'm probably in a handful, actually, to be honest. Right? Yep. And yeah, it's been an incredible journey. Okay. So 2016, I had released 2 books. Yes, I released 2 books. My 3rd book came out in 2017. Nothing in 2018 and 2019. 2020, I released 2 books. 2021, nice. I released a book. 2022 and 23, I've not released any full books. However, I've broken into comics. I've done freelance articles. I've done televideo series. I've never stopped, and I've learned how to draw.
That's awesome. Holy crap, dude.
I took it seriously. And I'm not saying you didn't. What I mean by that is I just made the decision that I was going to go all in and make a living doing this. You have to, at some point, I think, in your life, look at what you have and who you are and go, what can I do with this in the world? Yep. And that's what I did.
So you have to share way back, again, at that convention up in Calgary, I remember you talking about a story idea involving nanobots.
Oh, geez, it's been a long time. I didn't actually write that story. I didn't write. So I still have I still have it in my head. I'll tell you what I've written. So I wrote a story about the idea of the cloud today being our archaeology tomorrow. So that's my science fiction book. It's called The Cloud
Nice.
Diver. It's called The Cloud Diver. Then
Sweet.
I was asked right after I met you, actually, ironically enough, to submit. I did, the epic poetry I did. So
Uh-huh.
I was asked to do something for a Lewis Carroll anthology, and I wasn't quite sure what to do. And then I met a girl with a Gorgon tattoo. She was cute. I went to hit on her. She played for the other team. It's all good. We're still actually friends. We still are actually friends to this day. And but she had Medusa on her arm. And I was like, I could put Medusa in Alice in Wonderland. And then it hit me. Alice in Pandora, the same story.
I like it. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I've done 2 of those as well. And I'm currently got a novel. So I haven't said this much about this. I'm working when I'm done this tonight, I get to I have an agent interested in my next novel, and that's what I've been working on for the last little bit. But I've also been, doing I've just like, how do I turn my creativity into a living? Has been the question for the last,
Always the struggle. Yep.
but I think I figured it out. And it's weird because it's not about your skills, it's really about your mindset.
And your passion. Yep.
Yeah. So during the pandemic, I'm sure we can talk about how did you handle your apocalypse, Mr. Scott? This was my second apocalypse. This one was far less personal and far more global, but it was still an apocalypse. And I was by and large. The thing is, I talk to myself a lot more now. Like honestly, that's I think a normal ish response, right? And maybe as I keep getting around more people, that'll disappear a little bit. Yeah.
It's honestly, and I'm right there with you. So long periods of isolation and only human contact, just being through the computer. I did go through, I don't even want to call it a phase. I think it was actually a pretty cool and healthy period of time where I started reconnecting with people
Mm-hmm.
that I had known when I lived in LA or when I lived in Chicago or whatever, people I hadn't talked to in years, and just started trying to get that little video chat together, have a virtual beer, reconnect to somebody from the past and connect again in the present. And for me, that was huge. I'm a definitely an extrovert. I like being out and about and with the masses. And when I was stuck in my house for long periods of time, it's getting a little dicey. So
So I turned the podcast into a Twitch stream. That was how my workaround. Initially,
nice.
initially, what I did was, I started reading literally the day after the pandemic was official. Everything was going to get shut down. I started just reading. I like this whole C.S. Lewis concept of reading a story in the worst times, because on one hand, it's the most absurd thing you can do, but on the other, it's the best thing you can do.
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
that
Completely
because
agree.
nothing says life will go on than someone telling a story to somebody else in the dark. It's actually one of the
Yeah.
coolest forms of rebellion you can do.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree. That's awesome. And I can say that my TBR list got a nice little dent put in it during the pandemic. I finally had the space and time forced on me
Hmm.
to really start to prioritize what I should have been doing for years beforehand, and actually picking up and ripping through some great books.
So I tried. Here, I'll show you something here to see if it works for you. I'm telling
Oh,
you.
right on. Yeah, I've seen it.
I'm,
Actually, I've seen a lot of your art pop up on Facebook,
yeah.
Facebook or Insta.
Both. There's both. And
Cool.
so for me, it was about getting out of my comfort zone. The epiphany of the fear of sucking. Again, the first year of freelancing, I did it all wrong. I did it all wrong. And I mean by that is the mindset I had was, what if I fuck this up? Which is the
Yeah.
worst mindset to have as a freelancer, right? It's the worst one. You can't function properly with it. Second one, but so what you have to do is how do I put this? You have to kind of change your whole mentality. Well, okay, same with the drawing. Drawing was, well, what if I suck? Similar kind of concept. What if I fuck it up? What if I suck? But the epiphany was, so what if I suck? I don't have to I don't have to be good. And that's so freeing. It lets you have fun.
Well, and I think that, for me, what I hear is, and even with my own writing, it's like there are technical aspects of different creative disciplines.
Mm-hmm.
I will never be an architect. It just my brain doesn't work that way. But the technical aspects only go so far. There's a point where I think the true creativity is being able to tackle a medium,
Mm-hmm.
drawing, painting, writing, songwriting, singing, and just bring your whole self to it. And just really try and enjoy the art of creation. Enjoy the gift that you're creating for the world, that you're giving to the world, and that makes all art beautiful. Whether whether it's something, I don't know. I think that art might be the one space where that holds true. That just by virtue of making, by virtue of offering that up, it's inherently good. It's inherently wonderful, and that's so. Kudos to you, because I've never been able to tackle the visual arts. I've never been able to really lean into painting, drawing, making. And I think, like you said, I've always been kind of intimidated by it, and I shouldn't be.
Eh. So I've developed personal. So I have, let's see, since we last talked, I have 12 rules to success.
Okay.
And the eighth rule is stay uncomfortable.
I like
And
it.
it's a good rule, right?
Yeah.
And the reason that's important is you have to understand that the only place you're going to grow is in places where you're not sure what you're doing, right? I'm not like, I work I have it's now a side gig. My creativity makes more money than me working at this place, but I work for the Calgary Flames, like the NHL team Calgary Flames.
Oh, right on. Cool.
I work in their warehouse, and it's designed. It's the perfect second job. It's the perfect second job. Anyway, and on that note, like what I've learned is that can't push me. It just can't, because I've done warehousing
Right.
for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying there's not stuff I couldn't learn, but my passion for it is long gone. I can't even get
Yeah.
it for it to be like a serious job. And it's
Yeah.
not a knock to the job. It's just where I am in my life, right?
Yep.
And turning my writing into a living, turning my video making into a living, turning my voice into a living, like that's far more interesting to me and far more of a challenge to me, right? And I say all that with the caveat that, I'm not necessarily going to succeed every month the way I want to, but that's how I learn. You don't learn as much when you succeed all the time. It's safe.
Oh God, no.
It's safe.
Yep.
It's comfortable.
It's true. I think about just my own, journey as an author, and there are a lot of things about even just like the business side of being an author that the knowledge was there. It was available to me, and
Sure.
I wasn't picking it up. I wasn't actually trying to understand how to be, technically a better writer, and
Sure.
how to be a more successful author. And I kind of I've always liked that adage that, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And it really wasn't until I made just a couple of really good connections, people that were willing to be, good mentors, and, kind of help me learn things in a different way. And looking back on all the things that I had tried, mistakes that I had made and whatnot, like all of that, honestly, I wouldn't trade for anything, because that's part of my journey. That's, just how I've been learning and growing and evolving as I go. And sure, trying to be, a little more forward thinking, do things a little smarter, for the next go around, the next book. But it's all part of that journey. And if it had been easy out of the gate, it wouldn't be as compelling. It wouldn't be as fun.
You wouldn't follow through to the end.
Yeah.
You wouldn't.
Yep.
Like that's the thing. Like it's friction creates movement. It's just the way it is. That's life. If
Yeah.
you are comfortable, you're not going to go anywhere. At least not unless you absolutely, again, until something absolutely makes you. And
Yep.
no, it's you know, um, it's something that if you're serious about turning your art into something more than fun, and there's nothing wrong with art just being fun. I've
Mhm.
been saying that for the last 100 episodes, or like since I've been doing drawings. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. You have
Yeah.
to be honest with what your goals are, though. If you want to get better, you have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. There's no ifs, there's no ands, there's no buts. And what I find with people is a lot of people. I try to eliminate the buts, and what I mean by that is I want to do this, but
Hmm.
right, because I mean, pun deliberately intended. Those butts are all ass. But that all said, that all said, like, I have in my life, there have been more talented people than me doing what I'm doing, but I'm still doing it and they're not. And the reason why, like, more often than not, and it's not always the case, but more often than not, is they have a but. I would do this, but I would do this. And sometimes the buts are valid. Sometimes it's more like, okay, I'm gonna do this, but I have something I care about more. That's honest. I can't argue with that,
Yep. Yep.
right? I'm doing this, and no matter what the excuse is, it generates, but it isn't safe to do. I think you're being disingenuous to yourself.
Yeah. And that is hard. I mean, any creative pursuit, it's tough. It's tough to make the numbers click. It's tough to, like you said, quit that day job. Um,
Boy, it was
the people that
that
can, yeah,
it
they're,
was
I mean, few and far between.
no. It was easy. It was so easy for me.
Well,
Yeah, so pre-pandemic, so 2019 had come, and I was ready to do something different. I just was like, you come to that point in your life where you're just like, I. So one of my favorite speeches of all time was Colin Cowherd. Right,
oh,
when
okay.
he went to
Yeah.
Fox, his first episode, he had a 5 minute speech, and it was a really good one. And he talked about his move to Fox and why he did it. And the thing was, he was like, you know what? About 6 months ago, me and my wife were drinking wine in the afternoon, as you do in Connecticut. So that's how he started it. And she goes to him, honestly, you're not happy. What would make you happy? And he thought about it, and he talks about like some of the business aspects of it. But the biggest thing is, I listen. I don't know if there's a God, but if there is, I mean, heaven. I mean, heaven might sound great to some, but like, all I know for sure is I'm here, and while I'm here, I'm going to trace every dream I have in my head. And this is buzzed me in 2019. It's like, you know what, this makes total sense to me. Like, we don't live in an age where a day job is going to make you a happy, healthy retirement anymore. It doesn't exist.
Nope.
It's almost every level, right? It just doesn't. So if it's not
Nope.
going to exist, then the real question then goes, what is it that's going to make you happy? And what I mean by that is, like, what's going to make you get up in the morning and be excited to get up in the morning?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I gotta tell you, I mean, I enjoy my job with the Flames. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't have take some joy out of it. It's a cool
Of
building with
course.
some cool perks. But to be honest, I mean, the job aspect of it, I could take or leave. Like, it's not a big deal to me. I could flip burgers tomorrow and be not quite as fulfilled, but but it's just almost the same feeling. I'm never going to take the same level of pride in my work as I do doing my own thing. It's just not what I'm supposed to do,
Yep.
right? And that's just the reality. I'm grateful for it, and I want people to don't misunderstand this. I'm not ungrateful for the job, but I don't. But the plan is to leave the job, and I'm closer
Well,
to
and
that than I.
I
All right, it's like to me, it's easy. Like I don't know if I could ever work full time for somebody again, Scott. I'm being very honest. I don't know if I could do it.
no, I hear you. Well, and I've often said, talking with friends about this, it's kind of like there's sort of like three things that could happen. You could try and get a job that gives you enough time and money outside of work to do things you enjoy,
Yep.
or you could get a job that you really enjoy, even if it doesn't give you a lot of time or money outside of work for other things. And the truly like fortunate people are the ones that are able to find both, where they have a job that they really enjoy and they have some time and money outside of work to also do other things they enjoy. That's kind of the holy grail for, I think, working for a living and loving doing it. I'm like you. I have my day job. I do well at it. I like my coworkers. I want to do a good job. End of the day, though, it fills like part of my glass, but it doesn't fill the whole thing. There's
There.
always that itch.
So here's the thing. It's no longer a day job for me. It's a side gig. I make more
Sure,
creatively than I do with my day job. Like I've hit
which
that
is
point.
fantastic. That is
Yeah.
that is huge. That is a great tipping point.
Yeah, no, it is. So now obviously I'm constantly hustling. Like I just finished proofing a book for a client. Like just proofing. I got
Cool.
I got video advertisement I'm doing next week. I'm meeting a gentleman for his doing a video advertisement, right? For his next Kickstarter campaign.
Cool.
I'm lining up jobs that are creative, somewhat fulfilling. I have also a health series launching September 12th. It's called Healing Hands. I produced, directed it, kind of co-wrote it with my client. That's going to be like a 15 episode run.
Nice.
It's yeah, like the episode, everything's filmed. So I'm just now putting all the like episodes 1 and 2 were put together. Episode 3 is going to be put together like tonight, and then basically I'm going to be 5 episodes ahead of schedule when the first one launches, so I can constantly just do
Just keep them
one.
rolling.
Yeah, just roll them out. Right, the last
Yep.
episode is going to take the most work from my end, but at that one I'll just slow it down until release, and then yeah, just do my thing.
That's
Just come.
awesome.
Yeah. And then once November rolls around, like my goal now is to get myself a couple more long-term freelance gigs going into next year, because I don't know if you know this. I've already kind of hit the road with the show, like what the next phase of the show is going to be. It's going to be a traveling show.
Very cool.
I'm going to go to your neighborhood and interview you in your own neighborhood. That's the plan, Mr.
Wow.
Scott. That's the plan, Mr.
That's
Scott.
wild.
And
And
I
oh, I was gonna say, and so throughout all of Just Joshin, like it's all been with creatives, right? I mean, you're talking to writers and artists and musicians. I mean, is it
yeah.
wow. Wow.
Some pro wrestlers, some politicians too.
Okay. Oh,
Some
that's
people,
awesome.
yeah, some like it's been like art. Like the theme when I initially started was Canadian talent. I've long broken that mold. I've long broke that, right? I have interviewed people from all over the world, and like legitimately, the only downside of doing the travel show is my contacts in England, for example, my contacts in Japan or Australia. I'm gonna have to wait till I get there to interview them,
Right. Yep.
but I
But
will.
still, that's gonna be great. Actually
Yeah,
taking the conversations. Yeah, that's huge.
it's the next step. It's the next logical step. I went to San Diego Comic Con this year as a professional for the first time ever, and that's where I did those shows are coming. So yeah, man, I like I said, I've a lot of things have happened in my favor, and I'm eternally grateful for them.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. So do you want to hear my personal highlight from the last When Words Collide? I know you weren't there, but do you want to hear my personal highlight?
I'd love to, because I mean, honestly, that one in 2016. Oh, sorry about the sirens.
That's okay. It's okay.
That was
Don't worry
my
about it.
my first and only When Worlds Collide. So I'd gone up there because I'd gotten a short story published by, at the time they were World Weaver Press. They were Canadian based. No, they were Michigan based, but the editor was Rhonda Parrish, and she was up in Calgary. And so they were launching that book of short stories at that event, and I was never able to go back. So yeah, I mean, definitely get me up to speed on how that's been going and what happened last year.
So this year was my kind of like reunion. Did digital for the last 3 years, and I went digital the first year. Felt okay to do it. That was 2020. I couldn't do it the second and third years. I just
Yeah.
couldn't. It just didn't feel right that I do it when we're collide digitally. What ended up happening this year was like almost like, so the thing about me is during the pandemic I didn't stop. I just kept going. I kept doing more things, and I never realized how far I'd come until I went back to the show, because I realized that I'm actively doing what a lot of the authors that go to the show dream of doing, just creating.
Yep.
I'm doing that. And yeah, like it's like that is such a weird feeling to realize that when you started, like seriously, the first week you were like the show we were there, I accidentally started a podcast. Like literally, I was that literally kind of fell in my lap.
Yep.
And like and like here I am 999 episodes later, right? I can't make this up, right? At that time of the show it was like 990, 991. It was like I had gone, like I tell people that number and people look at me and go, holy shit. Right? Because it's like they laugh until they see it. Then it's like then they stop laughing. They're like then it goes from laughter to a little bit of terror / awe. It's fair. I am a bit of a monster, so it's all good.
Well, I mean, again, I think it's just outstanding that it's not just that you've created 1,000. I mean, like you're at 1,000 episodes of the podcast, but that's almost 1,000 unique, inspiring, different conversations. I mean, you've had a chance to hit a whole cross section of life,
Mm-hmm.
and that's huge. That is really, really cool.
Yeah, and I've been very fortunate. Like I've interviewed Spider Robinson on the show. Oh, here's my When Words Collide highlight of the weekend, though. I did a panel called the Freelance Mindset, like talking about the whole mindset thing. I closed the panel by making my panel sing, like not panel, the presentation, by making my audience sing "Carry On, Wayward Son" by King.
Nice.
That was my goal.
That's awesome.
Well, no, you gotta like one of the things I realized doing this is the two biggest keys to this whole thing working and going where you want it to go is an understanding of who you are. Art, at the end of the day, is about the stories you care about. Like that's and that sounds really simplistic, but I've seen this even with authors. The self-awareness of what really matters to you isn't always there. And
Yeah.
it translates in the books. It does. Like you can feel it. Like when I read Stephen King, he is incredibly gifted at taking it, like making you feel.
Mhm.
Forget the genre stuff. That's why King is so loved and read. I'm a big Ray Bradbury fan. He does the same thing. They're slightly different feelings they're going for. Like
Sure. Yeah.
Ray Bradbury makes you go kind of like, this is such a cool and magical world out there. That's what Ray Bradbury does. Stephen King will have that, a little bit of that, but he will also have these like he is the man of little victories. That's what I actually think of when I read Stephen King. There isn't always a happy ending, but there's a victory for the character. Almost all the characters in there have a moment they win.
Yep. Yeah, that journey, that you're absolutely right. Whether it's, I mean, everything from Carrie to Stand By Me to Green Mile to Eyes of the Dragon,
Yeah.
he's so good at just giving you that satisfying, sometimes heartbreaking, sometimes really sad, but that satisfying arc, that journey for that character to take, and that moment of realization when they get there. Yeah,
Well, no, the Dark Tower is my favorite Stephen King saga. Roland's story at the
yeah,
very end, just oh my god, did that punch you in the face? And I mean that like the best way
yep,
possible. It's beautiful, but it's
yep,
so heartbreaking, right? But he
yeah,
wins. Yeah, right. But that's the thing. Like you got you. King is very smart in that he knows the victory the audience truly cares about, and he gives it to you in some warm fashion. Not always in the way you expect it, but he knows the victory we're seeing, we're going for. And that's why his books, that's why, and there's something real about that story, that character, that ending. It works. So, here, I got a confession to make. In the last three
all right.
years, I have become a Swiftie. See, Swiftie.
Oh, sweet.
I went down that dark path. But here's the thing. Here's the thing about her. And this is the thing about anybody I think that's uber successful for any length of time. I think the thing about success, the more you connect to your like commit to, she could be Eminem, she could be Mariana Grande, she could be anybody that has sustained their craft and their game for an extended period of time in music.
Yeah,
There's something authentically Taylor Swift in all her albums. That's how she connects with people. That's how she succeeds. All her tricks aside, her real strength is she has a genuine story she wants to tell the audience that she cares about.
yeah,
And this thing, no matter who you are as a creative, you have to know who you are and what you care about, because that's the story. That's the story that people are going to listen to.
yep. Yeah. I mean, I think that, you know, for anybody, again, any medium, but I'm a writer, so I tend to think of it through the writing lens. But just that idea of trying to be authentic with your voice, like
Mm-hmm.
any number of people could tell the same story, but they're not going to tell it like you.
Exactly.
And really, yeah, being willing to, I think, just lean into that and just say, yeah, this is, I mean, and again, my stuff hasn't gotten any more serious since we hung out all those years ago. I'm still writing about, bowling vampires and stuff,
And
but
there's
I
nothing
really
wrong with that.
enjoy, no, and
There's
I
nothing wrong with that.
really enjoy, I like writing comedy. I like writing stories that, hopefully just bring a little bit of a smile to people, during their day. And I like telling those stories my way. And
Sure.
sometimes that's not always the easiest thing to figure out, especially when you're starting something new. But yeah, I think you're right that when people really start to connect with others, it's because they are, like you said, they're authentic, they're real,
Hmm.
they're again, it's not the people that are trying to just do formulaic stuff to try and crank out as much as possible to make a quick buck, and and I genuinely think that the people that really make that connection, a huge part of that is just them being themselves
Oh,
and being
sure.
open about it entirely. Yeah, 100%.
Sure. But
It's
but okay, so let's go into comedy because I do have a little bit of a comedic flair in some of my stories. So I open up
yeah,
open up my current story in a bar that could be generously described as the shithole. It literally
okay.
the roof somewhat caves in, right? I actually did the read like I actually did a reading from chapter one, and it made people laugh exactly where I wanted them to laugh. Like I set up the jokes
Nice.
perfectly. Oh no, it was designed to be like so comedy. Like this is the thing. Like there are two things to comedy that there's okay. I know three things for sure about comedy. Right? You need bad jokes in your material. You don't need no you do. And my argument for this is Peter Parker. right? Peter Parker as Spider-Man cracks jokes every time he's on the street fighting crime. They're not all
That's
funny,
true. Yep.
right?
Nope.
They're not all funny. But it's a degree of feeling, right? It's about degrees. If I made you nothing but A-list material all the time, you're gonna grow numb to it. So you need a couple
Yeah.
of like little groaners in there. It's like, oh, right? So you can knock them on their feet when you hit them with something good. You need to dirty up your style a little bit. Basically, it's the first thing I know for sure. The second thing I
Yeah.
know, the second thing I know for sure is, your comedy has to tell a story. That's the real secret to it.
Yep.
If the comedy tells a story that people can connect with, Dave Chappelle is one of my favorite comedians. Whatever you might think about his politics, whatever, right? He tells phenomenal stories, and they're funny, but they're real, and you can feel the reality. Again,
Yeah.
there's something authentic with what Chappelle does,
Yep.
right? And because and the reason is, but he just sits there. He doesn't go out of his way to, like, he sets up some punchlines here and there, but really when you sit there and watch his material, he's telling jokes, right? He's telling jokes. He's basically
Yep.
he's talking to the audience. He's listening to them. He's telling stories, and depending on how the audience goes, he tells certain stories. Sometimes he wants you to think, and that's the last thing I think comedy has to do. Comedy has to have a little bit of seriousness to it, in the
Yes.
sense that, it's like we are laughing at this thing that is real, but yet it's something like, okay, my bar, the punchline, actually, I'll just tell you the punchline. I set it up like, everybody knows how terrible the beer is, and yes, the roof is caves in randomly and is trying to kill you. But the most amazing thing about this bar is that somehow it fucks up water. I'm not sure how. It fucks up water. Right? I'm not sure how. No one does. It's one of those mysteries of the universe. It's like, your beer is bad, but you fucked up water. Like, how? How did you screw that up? But somehow this bar has found a way to do it. Right? Right? Living proof that God is real, because see, God does allow these little weird jokes, and the world's like, how did you fuck this up? God's like, well, like this. And that's it, right? And I have you laugh. You haven't even read the book, and I've actually am half tempted. I've already probably half tempted you. So I can't wait to read this. This sounds funny, right? And it's got a serious side to it too. But I pepper it with little bits of jokes, because what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to I'm being a manipulative prick, and I know it. I'm trying to get you comfortable with the world, so that when I make you uncomfortable, and I'm going to make you uncomfortable, you feel the jarring effect. And that's the thing. Like, as I've gotten older, what I realize is I'm trying to convey a story to get a very specific reaction. Whereas, when I started writing, I didn't always worry about the reaction. But now it's like, it's a big part of how I'm constructing my stories now is, okay, what's the story really about? And what do I want to make the person feel?
Yeah. And I think that's huge. If you have to bring that reader on a journey.
Mhm.
And if it's a comedy with a nice happily ever after, that's great. If it's a horror story, and you're trying to confront them with their worst fears, that's great. But whatever it is, like, you really have to, I think, be clear in your intention if you really want to connect. And it's tough to do. I like I said, it's tough to come up with the character, the worlds, the plot, all the things, and also find that, like you said, that reaction that you're trying to get. And if we do our jobs well, we get it, from more than we don't. So
Well, that's just it, right? That's the whole secret of it. Like you gotta be honest
Yeah.
about what you're going for. Again, the older I get, it's about specifics. It's not about the general idea anymore. It's about the specific idea. And everything I'm doing is
Yeah.
around the specific idea now. It's a very different space of creation than I was. And I'm confident enough that I can get people to feel a certain way.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think about, I kind of took a strange approach to that trilogy, but it's 3 books chronological, but book 1, you're in, Herb's head, and then book 2, you shift over to his best friend, Dallas. And that transition from book 1 to 2 was risky because Dallas, I spent all of book 1 setting him up to be the worst imaginable person in the world. He's just an absolute jerk. And then all of a sudden you're in book 2 and now you're seeing the world through Dallas's eyes. Now all of a sudden he is the main character. And did that without, I guess, really even fully thinking about the impact that might have on the readers. And it's really fun over those first 2 years just to get the reviews and get the feedback of how much people really struggled with this like redemption arc for this character because they started the book hating him. And my intent was by the end of the book, you actually find some sympathy for that devil. You actually start to love Dallas. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough to try and establish what you hope to get from the reader and then actually pull it off and actually win them over. And it's a learning journey all the way through.
Well, I think it's also like it's the expectations you've already built in. Like Dallas is a
Yeah.
jerk, right? He's a
Yeah.
jerk,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, you kind of have now. There's a lot of, like I'm a big Green Lantern guy. I love Guy Gardner. He's a jerk. Like
Yeah.
he's literally a jerk. But he's got some incredibly noble characteristics to him, right? And there's something in
Sure.
there there's something good to him. Doesn't mean he is a good guy, but there are qualities to him, right? And the writers, when he originally came out, did a really good job of establishing those things, right? Now, and here's the thing though, right? So if you're shifting to a point of view character like this, right? I guess the question I would ask you is, in the first arc, you worked very deliberately to make him a bastard. Did you give him any redeeming qualities?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And probably if I was to go back and rewrite those books, I think I would do more there. I think that I would try and plant a few more seeds for the person he could become early in
Yeah,
that first story.
yeah, because that would be what would make the transition uncomfortable. Because, well, if he's a bastard here, it doesn't change. Then yeah, he does some good things here, but doesn't change that he's a bastard there, right? Right? It's a hard pill to swallow. But yeah, if you go, okay, yeah, he is an unrequitable jerk, but he's not all bad, then you can kind of go, okay, we can swing him to the good side of the force little by little by little. But you have to do it in such a way
Yeah.
that is believable too. If you turn him into a full blown vanilla 1960s Batman character, although if of any of those characters, Dallas could probably pull that off at least terribly.
Right.
Like like there you go. You have an idea for the future there, Scott. Batman parody featuring Dallas the werewolf.
On it.
Yeah, that's
On it.
right. That's right. Complete with the pole and a sidekick. Right?
Yep.
And this guy keeps looking at him going, I'm not putting on this skimpy ass costume. But it brings out your figure. Fuck you. And there you go. I'm not wearing this. You can't make me. Right? And that would be like Dallas's story. Dallas's arc is trying to get his sidekick to wear that costume, and in turn, I'm a horrible human being. What can I say? But no, it took a long time to it takes a long time to learn that stuff.
Yeah,
It's details ultimately, but it's details a lot of big name pros don't always get right.
yeah, I agree.
So let's see, 4 years in between. So that would
Oof, yeah,
so why? Like real full reasons.
yeah. I mean, that's so. It's really interesting. I mean, I don't know. We might have talked about this way back in the first time we chatted, but I never really planned to be a writer. When I wrote my first book, I had started it as a screenplay, and I only did that because I lived in LA and I kind of thought I had to have one.
Yeah.
Finished that first book and I was like, maybe I should actually keep this story going. And so I wrote the second and the third. And then I got to the end of that trilogy and I felt like I had tied it up really nicely. And and then I started thinking about like, okay, what's next? And I started a lot of books. I started more horror comedy. I started a spin-off series from that same world. I started some hard sci-fi and then some military sci-fi. I'd write almost every day, and the weeks and the months would just slip by, and I couldn't get to the next book. It was really tough, and so it was probably, let's see, Undead Cheesehead came out in like 2017. So yeah, it was probably 2020 when I finally started to hone in on this new character, this new world, and finally got my bearings. But it was just sort of a long meandering journey in between. I don't regret it. I mean,
No.
I wrote every day. I just yeah. Some people I think already have 10 more stories locked and loaded when they finish their book, and for me it was like, I didn't know I was going to be on this particular path, and now I'm here. Let's just kind of wander around for a bit and see what's out there.
So would it be fair to say that this was I'm putting spaghetti on the wall and trying to figure out what sticks?
100%. Yep. I mean, it really was. And again, with the zero consideration of like what's my author brand or any of that. I mean, again, I was trying stuff all over the place. When I started rewriting The Breakfast Club, it was just because I had rewatched it and I was like, this would be kind of funny as a writing exercise to like reimagine this with monsters. So Claire is the fairy, and Andrew is a werewolf, and Brian is a mad scientist, whatever. Um, and I ended up having so much fun with it that I kept going. And before I knew it, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months of my life was gone, and I had rewritten The Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Great, enjoyable hobby. Didn't really move the needle on my author career. But yeah, so it just, again, I think I'm kind of in that space again. I just finished another trilogy and I have no idea what's next. I started a few different, little outlines for a couple of different stories, but for all I know, it's gonna be 4 years before I figure out what the next book is.
I don't think it's going to take you as long. I don't.
I hope not,
No,
but if
no,
it
no.
does, yeah,
See, would you like a challenge?
I'm always up for a challenge.
Okay. So for your first trilogy, the challenge is not, you don't actually have to answer me. You have to answer yourself. Okay. So the first trilogy, what did you care about? Like, what was the story you really were telling there? Right? And how does it reflect on
Yeah,
you? Okay. Now,
yeah,
the second story, second trilogy, what did you care about then? Understand what
sure,
they are.
yeah,
So let me, like this. Okay, I'll give you. I'll give you. I'm gonna give you a bit of a cliff notes, like what the feelings I'm going for in this current novel. Work in progress I'm doing right now. I realize what the story is really about, and for me, it's the fear of never being able to fall in love again. That's what the story is ultimately about. That's the story.
cool.
That's what I care about in this story. I didn't realize it when I started writing it, but I realized it as I'm 2/3 of the way through it. I'm going to try to close out in the next couple of weeks because I got some good things on the horizon potentially there. But the reason I say it like that is because because I realize what I care about. I find, and that best connects me to the story. So understanding who I am and what I care about right now, right? You're on the next step of your writer career. So okay, you've written 2 stories you've written that you cared about, and hopefully, like I said, I'm certain this trilogy is better than your last trilogy, technically in every other way. So, what's the next step of that clarity, that vision? What does Scott Burtness care about in this moment right now?
That's a great way to approach it, and it's a really good way to frame it, because then
Yeah.
that's true, is that
Yeah.
we tell stories about other people, we make it up in our heads, but honestly we're just telling the story in different ways.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm like, so Alice in Wonderland, Greek mythology, right? Like, okay, what's my whole connection to that story? That whole story to me, it's a combination of the game. Like, can you come out of your own mistakes? Is what you did a mistake to begin with? Right? Sometimes that's the other question too. Like when Alice felt like when Pandora opened the box and Alice went down the rabbit hole, the feeling was curiosity. So is curiosity a terrible thing? Or, and in the process, like going through these things, who do you become? What makes a character heroic? Like that's what I care about with Alice, right? Is she a hero because she's getting out of her own mess? Maybe, maybe not,
Yeah.
right? That's that story. And then this one, the first arc is like the whole arc is about like trying to become a better person, but in the process, right? Are you someone that's worth loving? Because ultimately, like if we're going to talk about the ultimate reward in this life, honestly, for most of us, right? It's not the house, it's not the car, it's not the kid, it's not the 2.5 whatever. It's the finding people that love me for who I am and it can accept me for who I am. Right?
Yeah.
That's what we all look for in this life. It's what
Yeah.
we try to figure out what we love to do. Then the other half of that is who do we love to do it with? That's life, I think, in a nutshell.
Agreed. Yep. I mean, it's end of the day, we're just the sum of our experiences. It's hopefully you find good people to have those good experiences with, and as long as you can tilt the scales toward more good than bad, I think you've had a pretty good life.
Well, oh, it's quite. I'm going to push back on that slightly. I think it's not just experiences. People can have the exact same experiences and react in completely different ways.
Good point. Yep.
Right? Right? It's not just the sum of our experiences. It's do we have the awareness of who we are in these moments? That's it. And what do we
Yeah.
do in those moments? And I don't think there's necessarily a good or right or wrong answer in each one. I just think it's about, can we look ourselves in the mirror when it's all over? And can we like the person we see?
Yeah. 100%. Yep.
Uh,
And can we learn and grow from those moments when we don't like that person so much? Try and understand why.
yeah.
Try and find some way to move beyond that. Yeah, it is. It's just that constant journey.
Yeah. And then, and I've talked about this with Chris Humphreys a little bit earlier today. He was 998. I do episodes today, back to back.
Sweet.
The nature of love. Love is not control. It's not about like I can like you as a person and deplore some things you do. Can I still love you within those things? If the answer is yes, then I love you. If the answer is no, then I really don't. Right? I still might care, but it's like that's what I've learned. Like love is not. It's about can I look at somebody, good, bad, and indifferent, and love them all the same. I've had some deep thoughts over the years, Scott.
Yep. No, and again, I think it's our blessing and curse of, I don't know, kind of being a little more inclined to tap into that strange creative mess that comes out in all those different ways.
Yeah.
Whether it's our writing, our art, it's, I think that we're kind of hardwired to maybe spend a bit more time on some of these thoughts and these emotions. And I think that's great.
Yeah.
I I've enjoyed over the years, being being more open to and more accepting of just all those questions, those
Yeah.
messy things that make up the world around us. It's we back at the beginning talked about what gets us going, and for me, it's that it's getting to actually give myself the permission to spend time in those places.
Mm.
And hard to imagine setting that aside and kind of giving up that creative journey and all the fun stuff that comes with it.
So I'm gonna ask this, Mr. Scott, as it sounds like you're happy with where you are overall. Do you want to push deeper into making the creative your living, or are you happy with your day job, and are you trying to escape it?
No, great question. I don't know. I
That's
mean,
fair.
the 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 gap between actually paying a mortgage with my writing is not insubstantial at this point. Um, there's a part of me that likes having my writing as a way to step away from the other things, from the job or the worries about whatever. Like it's nice to have that place to go to, where it's just me and the stories that I'm telling. And if that was it, like if I didn't have things to step away from and step into my writing, would I still enjoy it as much? I don't know. Um, if I have some books that do well enough to give me that opportunity, what I see for myself honestly is, um, you know, finding that little bit more of a secure paycheck, but doing something I'd have a heck of a lot more fun doing. Just serving bar at the local brewery, 2-3 nights a week, and then focusing on my writing the rest of the time.
That's
So I
fire.
guess we'll see. We'll see what the cards hold. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if this doesn't fail, I'm just going fishing. I'll just go fishing. I'll get a boat and fish, and maybe drink and fish and
Yeah.
drink some more.
Fish and write and fish.
Or I was gonna say write and drink, but sure, I can do that too. Whatever. No, it's
Well, I already do that.
yeah. You already do that. You're living the dream, Scott. You're living the dream. But no, I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna ask it like this. Do you think okay? It then I'm gonna ask it like this. Are you going to make more of an effort to try to shift in that direction? And when I'm talking about like advertising, getting your word out there, doing more things to push it, or are you going to be kind of like I'm just
Oh
going to
yeah,
let it? Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
No, and that's been the I think the last couple of years especially, um, finally putting a focus on the business side. Um, doing more to just sort of peel back the onion on all of the little ways that authors can build their brand and be more successful. It's helped. I've actually seen the needle move a decent amount, and I'm excited to keep hopefully bringing more books to the world and taking those lessons learned and carrying them forward. Um, so yeah, I think my goal is to always try and find that balance where I'm I'm stretching that goal. I'm trying to move to that new place, but I'm still enjoying it, and I'm not not push so hard to lose sight of the fact that the reason I like writing every day is because I like writing every day.
Yeah. Well, if it makes you feel better, even though I have become a full-fledged freelance type, I still enjoy writing a lot. Now, granted, it's not the only thing I'm doing
Yeah.
freelancing wise, but even so, I enjoy it a lot. I mean, I literally get paid to
Yeah.
write.
No, that's great.
I'm getting paid right now to write a science. I get to write about military, like the best military science fiction books of all time, or my opinion, the ones that should be read. You should read. It's like, oh no, I get to talk about science fiction and get paid for it. Darn. It's like
The struggle is real,
the
right?
struggle's so real. No, I think the weirdest thing I can say about my life is this, honestly, and it's a hard one to explain. I had Marissa. Do you know who Marissa Mayer is?
No.
She's a #1 New York Times best-selling author. There's literally a video of me and her, like me StreamYard screwing up like crazy, with me, her, and my doppelganger just frozen on the screen, like literally just frozen on the screen, and and like, how many people in their life can say they have a #1 New York Times best-selling author, yourself, and a screen of you on the same time having a conversation? Like,
Right.
that is the weirdest, but that's my life. And I've worked to make those things happen. And again, I've been blessed. I really have been. And like humbly so, like as I hit 1,000, um, it's been an incredible journey. I never imagined it would go this way, but I'm happy it did, if that makes sense.
I am, and I'm super glad that you reached out, we had a chance to reconnect, and I got to be a part of this journey again. That is very, very cool, and I very appreciate it.
No, before we call it a day, just two more things. So when I do go finally on the road, are you gonna okay? Come on, look in my camera and eat ice cream and tell horribly bad jokes about our writing.
So all you have to do is just get to Wisconsin. I'm up
Yeah,
in
getting
Door
Wisconsin.
County
That's
now.
not gonna be hard. No, dude.
Yeah, it's just across the border. You're almost there.
Yeah, and you're just as cold as Alberta. So it's like it's like Wisconsin winter scares you. Not really. No, I lived in Alberta. We both suffer that. We have both the same levels of despair in the wintertime.
Yeah, winter's a thing.
Yeah, winter's a thing. Winter's a thing in Wisconsin, but it's also a thing in Calgary. So it's like, it's not so bad. It's not so scary once you are there. It's also just, that's why we drink beer, folks. This is why we drink beer, to not freeze in the wintertime.
Yep.
That is our weapon.
Much lower freezing water, so got to keep that blood nice and fluid.
Yeah, that's right. Because Lord knows you might be going outside to start your car, and it will not happen. You'll be like, well,
Yep.
fuck. It's like, well, fuck. I don't know what to do. And everybody else that's out in the streets like, I have a really good excuse to call in sick. I'm doing it. Screw it. I'm doing it because that's not worth it, right? And that's the whole of it, right? It's just the whole of it. No, I'm going to be going on the road. I was going to go so San Diego was my consolation prize. Like, that's my consolation prize. But no, it was my consolation prize. I was going to be hopefully on the road by now. Like, but it's going to take a little longer than I thought it would. But
sure, yeah.
But even so, I'm getting it ready. I'm doing my thing, and I'm trying to get people like trying to be a part of this. And I'm just trying to see, like, now also this way it's not going to be 998 episodes between appearances. This is legitimately going to be like, maybe somewhere before episode 1100, about maybe 1150, somewhere in there. But yeah, like, I've been like, the coolest, like I said, for me, I've got a chance, like, when the coolest thing about San Diego for me, like, there's a couple things. But one of the coolest things was people I've interviewed for this show were there, right? And I got to meet them in person. And that's just a cool experience all the way through.
Yeah, absolutely. That's and I've seen as I've done different fan conventions and Comic Cons and stuff over the years, like yes, actually getting to be there, meet the people, have those real connections, that's huge. It's a ton of fun.
Yeah, no, it's super fun. It's part of the journey, right? But also, I mean, it was San Diego, and everybody should do San Diego Comic Con once, at least once.
Yeah, I've only heard stories. I know it's absolutely insane.
Oh God, yeah. If you look on my Instagram, you can actually look at me take. I took a picture of Chewbacca, a giant 9-foot Chewbacca that was there. But to get an idea of the size of the show, folks, you can literally look that aisle. You're seeing not even a quarter of that aisle, and it is long. What you see is just like that is a big fucking convention hall. It's like yes, it is. It is ginormous.
It's huge.
It's huge. Even if I was walking at full speed, it'd take me 40 minutes to get there across the convention hall. Longer. It's not like
Wow.
it's no joke. Like the one end where the video game stuff is, all the way to where the comic creators are, and everything in between. You're probably looking at about 40 minutes one way.
Jeez.
One aisle. You could legitimately spend 5 hours. And this is not panel rooms, not anything else. This is just the convention center, like the where everybody's just selling stuff. It is so big. It is so big. Like I cannot put into words just how much is there. Just like it's unbelievable. It takes literally 2 days to see everything. Legit, 2 days.
I
And
believe
there
it.
once. That's one trip. The only, but and
First
then
pass.
that's the first pass, and then you go back to the places you like to remember are still there, which is a little different for us all. But yeah, no, you should do. But I mean, Scott, seriously, you should do that at some point in your life. But beyond that, man, good luck. I hope. Yeah, this will not be a 7-year gap between the next time we do this. I hope not. Anyway.
No, for sure. And again, I think it's great to, I mean, one, just rediscover, to see what you've accomplished with it. I mean, it's just really, really cool to see what's coming next.
Yeah. So we're definitely gonna have you there. So we probably should plug something of yours, shouldn't we?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, hey, everybody. I'm Scott Burtness. I am the author of the Monsters in the Midwest horror comedy trilogy and the Misadventures of a Paranormal Post-Relationship Personal Effects Repossession Specialist trilogy for your paranormal comedy. That's me.
So what's your latest book called?
The most recent release is called Siren Sings Her Heart Out. It's book 3 of that Repo series, where the main character is a shapeshifter whose job is to get your stuff back from your ex after a messy breakup.
That could be really interesting with monsters, right?
Mm-hmm.
There
Yep.
could, there could be
You got
complications there.
some complications, some government conspiracies, some end of the world stuff. It's all mixed in.
To some extent. Okay. So Aphrodite's got to be a whore, just a whore in this series.
Aphrodite?
Yeah.
She's not in my books.
No,
Or
she
if she
should be.
is, she hasn't popped up yet.
Yeah, she should. She should be. I mean, talk about the scarred, like just leaves a trail of like battered bodies and broken monsters' hearts. That I mean, there's just that's just an open goal. I think, man. Right? Right? It's an open goal. But yeah, no, it's all good. So Siren Sings Her Heart Out is available now everywhere.
Nah, Amazon. I'm still single platform. I haven't gone wide yet.
Oh, it's all good. And where is there a website where people can find you?
There is. It's swbauthorblog.wordpress.com. So SWB for Scott Wayne Burtness.
All right. I've added it to the comments on Twitch, and it'll definitely be in there. So everybody, go say hi to
Cool.
Scott. He's funny. He'll tell terrible jokes. He might laugh at one or two of them. Maybe.
One or two, maybe.
Maybe. He's a good writer though, folks. Like honestly, he's a really, really good writer. You should definitely check out his work. And folks, my next episode is episode 1000. My guest is legendary comic book creator Keith Giffen. It's gonna be fun.
Sweet. I just clapped.
I saw that. I saw the clap. I've seen the clap. Do you know who Keith Giffen is?
I don't, but it sounds impressive.
So he did Justice League by like pre-Crisis on Infinite Earths, and he also did the Legion of Superheroes, and those were some of the best runs of those characters' lives. Oh yeah, like he's done some big like.
Sweet.
He's also done other cool things as well throughout the years. I'm going to be doing my research tomorrow to see what he did recently. But oh man, I am tired. But that is going to be my 1000th episode, ladies and gentlemen. And that, ladies and gentlemen, will do it for this episode of Just Joshing. I want to thank Scott for being a great sport for coming back for episode 1000 here. And not 1000, 999.
$9.99.
Yeah,
yep.
that's right.
Pretty awesome.
That is still a pretty awesome number to come back to. So for everybody watching, everybody listening, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. And I'll see you guys next time. I just got to hit the magic button.